Aries, welcome to your weekly horoscope for May 4th to the 10th, 2026. My name's Adina. I'm an intuitive astrologer. Aries, as you move into this week, there's a very noticeable build in momentum, but it doesn't feel smooth or linear. It feels like pressure, like something inside you is being pushed to act, to decide, to respond. And at the same time, there's a part of you that knows you need to be careful about how you do that. Right at the beginning of the week, we have Mars moving through your first house in Aries, and it forms a square to Jupiter in your fourth house in Cancer. This is a very personal activation for you. Mars in your first house is already amplifying your identity, your drive, your reactions, your physical energy. You're more assertive right now, more willing to go after what you want, but also more reactive if something doesn't sit right with you. What's interesting is that Mars rules your first house and your eighth house. So, this energy is not just about how you're showing up, but also about deeper emotional entanglements, shared resources, intimacy, and situations that require vulnerability or trust. And as it squares Jupiter in your fourth house, there's a clear connection between your personal desires and something happening within your home life, your family dynamics, or your emotional foundation. This is where you may start to notice tension between what you want to do and what feels emotionally safe or supportive. You might feel pulled between asserting yourself and maintaining peace in your personal environment. For some of you, this could look like conflict within the home, disagreements with family members, or feeling like your personal growth is clashing with existing emotional dynamics. Internally, this can feel like frustration. You may find yourself thinking, why does this feel so hard right now? Or why does every decision feel like it impacts everything else? There could be a tendency to overreact or to act impulsively, especially if you feel emotionally triggered. If this energy is handled unconsciously, it can manifest as arguments, overextending yourself, or making decisions too quickly without considering the long term emotional impact. You might push too hard or say something you don't fully mean, or take on more than you realistically have the capacity for. But when you work with this energy, this becomes a powerful moment of growth. This is where you learn how to assert yourself without destabilizing your emotional foundation. This is where you begin to understand that taking action doesn't have to come from a place of urgency or pressure. This energy is asking you to slow down your reactions, even if your instincts are telling you to move fast, to check in with yourself before responding, to ask, is this reaction aligned with who I'm becoming, or is it just a response to discomfort? As the week moves forward, the energy shifts into something more mental, more internal, but also more intense. Mercury in your second house in Taurus is forming a square to Pluto in your 11th house in Aquarius. Now we are moving into themes around your self worth, your finances, your values, and how you communicate about these things. Mercury here is making you think more about money, stability, and what truly matters to you. But Pluto in your 11th house is bringing in deeper dynamics connected to friendships, social circles, long term goals, or even power dynamics within groups. Mercury rules your third house and your sixth house. So, this is also tying in communication, daily routines, work environments, and how you mentally process your day to day life. What this can look like is a conversation, a realization, or even a confrontation that brings up deeper questions about your value. You might find yourself reassessing certain friendships or realizing that certain group dynamics don't align with your current values anymore. This can feel intense. Pluto doesn't do surface level, it brings things up from underneath. You may notice obsessive thoughts, overanalyzing conversations, or feeling like you're trying to figure something out that feels just out of reach. There can also be power struggles in communication. Maybe someone is trying to influence your decisions, or you feel pressured to conform to something that doesn't feel right for you financially or morally. If this plays out unconsciously, it can turn into overthinking, anxiety, or getting caught in cycles of trying to control outcomes or conversations. You might say something out of defensiveness or shut down entirely to avoid the intensity. But there's a much deeper purpose here. This is about transforming how you define your worth. This is about recognizing where your value has been influenced by your external expectations and where you're ready to reclaim that. This energy is asking you to be honest with yourself, not harsh, not critical, but deeply honest, to ask where you may be compromising your values to maintain certain connections, or where fear is influencing your decisions around money or stability. And the more you allow yourself to sit with these realizations instead of rushing to fix them, the more clarity you gain. By the time you reach the end of the week, there's a noticeable softening. The sun in your second house in Taurus forms a sextile to Jupiter in your fourth house in Cancer. This feels like a moment of support, a moment where things begin to make sense, or where you start to feel more grounded in yourself again. The sun is highlighting your sense of self worth, your confidence, your stability. And as it connects with Jupiter in your fourth house, there's an opportunity for emotional expansion, comfort, and even healing within your personal life. What this can look like is a sense of reassurance, maybe a conversation that brings clarity, maybe a moment where you realize that you're more supported than you thought. For some of you, this can be financial improvement or simply feeling more secure in your decisions. On a deeper level, this is about aligning your external life with your internal foundation. It's about feeling safe in who you are becoming. You may find yourself thinking, okay, I see the bigger picture now, or this is starting to feel more stable. And this is important because it shows you that the tension earlier in the week had a purpose. It pushed you to confront something, to adjust something, to become more aware. This energy is asking you to receive, to allow support, to trust that you don't have to force everything into place. Overall, this week is a journey. It starts with tension between action and emotion, moves into deep mental and value based transformation, and then settles into a space of grounding and clarity. You're learning how to move through life in a way that honors both your independence and your emotional needs. You're learning that growth doesn't always feel comfortable, but it leads you to a stronger, more aligned version of yourself. And as you move through this week, the most important thing you can do is stay present with yourself, not just with what's happening externally, but with how you're feeling internally, because that's where the real guidance is coming from. Aries, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fabulous week. Don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe, and I will connect with you in the next one.